Right, welcome. So today you find me, we're starting the video and I'm already on the floor. So reason for that, today we are dropping the carb tank out of the car. As you know, we have decided to go fuel injection, so the carb tank, it's gotta go. Now I know there are people out there that have gotten the carb tank to work with the fuel injection system. However, it does take a bit of trial and error and a bit of figuring out to actually get it working. However, with us, we decided, you know what, let's just not waste time. We want to get the car running, so we got a fuel injection tank. Yes, we picked up a brand new second-hand fuel injection tank. Yeah, we cleaned it up over the past couple of days. We've just been cleaning the tank. As you can see, this is what it currently looks like after we put a bit of vinegar into it. Yeah, it's this is what came out. So there was a bit of muck, a bit of grime, a bit of this, a bit of that. But anyway, the tank is now clean and ready to go on, basically. So in order for it to go on, we need to get the old tank out. So that is what we are doing right now. Now, to get the fuel tank out, the first thing we needed to do was pull the seats out. And as you can see, we pull the bottom parts of the seats out and we took this top cover off. Now, holding the top cover in place, as you can see, are 3 screws, which are right here. So these were stars. Yours may be different, probably not. So from there, now we need to just disconnect this plug that fits on here. So once you pull that off, the next thing is you need to actually undo the clamps holding these two fuel lines to the actual float. Now this is your feed line and this is your return. If I am mistaken, I will correct it in editing, but if not, yeah, this is your feed, this is your return. So as I said, you need to loosen the clamps, yeah, and as you can see, these clamps are looking fresh, and that's because we just put them on with the 8mm fuel line. You need to change the size of the fuel line piping because this is 8mm piping, whereas what it came with is 6mm piping. Yes, carbs run 6mm piping, whereas injection is 8mm piping, and you can really see the difference in hole size. Yeah, like if you look at the inner diameter, yeah, you can see there is a difference in size. You can see this line is a lot bigger than this one. This just helps with a lot more fuel being fed to the injection system. So you need to swap out your fuel line. Now the rubber hoses aren't the only thing that you need to swap out. You also have to change the actual line itself. So these are fuel injection lines. The carb lines are much smaller and it restricts the amount of fuel that actually gets flowed from the tank to the head, to the front of the engine. So you have to upgrade the lines to just allow for more flow, for more fuel to be pumped into the engine. So this is also a necessary thing for you to do. So pull the floats out, drain the tank, siphon the tank. So tank is a lot lighter now. To do that, to remove the floats, what you're gonna do, if the floats, the two lines should be facing this way, you are gonna wanna rotate it to the left. So that's gonna be anti-clockwise. And what I used was I just used a water pump. This is a water pump and I gripped it. Do be careful because they can break if you apply too much pressure. It is going to be very tight, so do be careful when loosening the actual float. So once you get loose, you want to just lift it up a little bit. You want to pull it out at first because then you're going to take your garden hose. What I have here, this is what I use. I use a long piece of garden hose. See, there's still petrol in it. Put one end inside, put the float on top to just like wedge it in place basically. With the other end, put it into a container. Make sure no water, no wind. It must be a clean container if you are going to be putting a petrol back. If you aren't, then put it in whatever container. Then you're going to take the hose pipe and you're going to pull. Like you're going to take the hose pipe here, you're going to suck. You're going to suck the air and then the fuel is going to come running. Now do one big pull, and if if there's no fuel coming out, do not do a big pull again. It will end up in the back of your throat and you are gonna start burning. So once again, you grab your hose, bring it to your mouth later, and then you know oh sorry, there's still like petrol fumes and all that there. That's what I'm saying. If you pull once, you rather blow it all back, push the fuel back into the tank and try again, because if you do another big pull, the petrol is going to end up in the back of your throat and you are going to start choking and it's not going to be fun. So to avoid that, as I said, just blow back into a pipe, let the fuel go back into the tank and then try again, and you will start seeing that the petrol will start coming out through the hose. Put that in your container and make sure you have a few containers, because if you don't, the petrol is, well, that depends on how much petrol is in your tank. If you're a typical VW Mark 1 driver, your tank should be empty already. But if not, well, you're gonna need a couple of containers. Make sure, okay, you have enough, they clean, and your petrol is able to go into them. Make sure there were no leaks. So after that, now we can actually move on to dropping the tank, because it is gonna be a lot lighter and just a lot easier to handle. Now to loosen, firstly, okay, you can see where we are just for reference. We have the two bolts here. We have one, and we have two, right? So these two bolts here, they hold this whole cross piece, cross brace, cross, whatever you want to call it. This, those two bolts keeps us in place, and there's two bolts this side, two bolts, one, two, these two bolts on this side as well. So once you loosen these four bolts, this is then gonna drop down. Don't stress, it's not gonna just swing down and hit the ground. And oh my god, look at the exhaust. What? Yo, and you got a prima force. Yo. Anyway, we're gonna drop this. What's this? Hanger. I think this. No, I don't know. I don't wanna start loosening things unnecessarily. I need to confirm with my father. This should begin to drop down a little bit, and it should give a lot more space to actually drop the tank out. Now before I actually start loosening the bolts, yeah, I actually want to take, you can see there's a fuel pipe. Yeah, this is connected, because if we follow the pipe, you'll see that it runs all the way up to your filler cap. So this is all your filler neck and it's gonna run through. So I want to disconnect this, because now when you drop in a tank, it's gonna be just unnecessary hassle. So you need to drop this before you start removing the tank. Well, you need to pull this off before you drop the tank. Then underneath the car, we also have these two balls, one here and one there. These two balls, hold on, and there. Now these two balls hold up these metal brackets, support brackets, that hold the tank in place. So you're gonna loosen this. This is gonna then start dropping, and then your tank is gonna start coming with it. So those are also two balls that need to be loosened. But before I start loosening any of these balls, I'm gonna spray them with Q20, tool in the can, WD-40, all those fancy, just lubricating spray that helps with loosening balls. So whatever you want to use, you go for it. Now our choice is Shield tool in a can. I mean, this thing's affordable and it does the job, so can't really hate on it for that. So with all the balls being lubricated, well, we grabbed our ratchet with the 13 sockets and we started loosening. So as I showed you, it is those two bolts in the front. That is what is being loosened right now. Now at this point, I forgot to actually get any footage of us removing or loosening the axle beam, but to do that, as I said, we removed the four bolts and that dropped down. So From there we went then to the fuel filler neck. So to remove this you need a star screwdriver, and you're just gonna remove the 3 stars that hold it in place. Now also once you do remove the 3 stars, you're gonna wanna go in the wheel well. Now once you're there, you're gonna need to remove a 10mm bolt that's in place there that just holds up. You can see it right now on screen. So you're gonna grab your small set 10, loosen that. Once you do, the entire filler neck will then drop out of place. Now the reason we loosened the filler neck was to separate it from the pipe that connects the filler neck to the fuel tank. So then we need to pull this pipe out that's actually running on the tank. So my father just pulled at it. Now it was in there pretty tight and it was giving a bit of a hassle, but eventually after a bit of prying and pulling, it did eventually pop out. Now the thing is, we will have to remove it because now when you try and pull the tank out, this is going to act as a restriction and it's just going to be tight and pulling the tank and keep it in place. Whereas once you remove it, you will have a bit more freedom. It was then time to attempt to remove the tank. So after a bit of prying, trying to just really yank it and get it out of place, we were running into a bit of a problem because as you can see, the tank was moving, the tank is free. However, there is a bit of a blockage. You know those studs that we removed the 13 nuts from? Yeah, they are now in the way. The tank is hitting on them, so we need to somehow make the axle still drop a bit lower because otherwise we're not getting this tank out. Luckily there was another method, and that was to actually loosen the brake lines. So we grabbed a 14 and a 10 spanner and began loosening, and once we loosen it we can separate the line, and that will allow the actual axle to drop lower. And once we disconnected the line on the other side and just grabbed a side cutter and cut a cable tie that was holding the Ambre cable in place, well, the tank was practically falling out because, as I said, once the brake lines were disconnected, the axle dropped lower, and that just gave a lot more freedom for the tank to move around. So as you can see, the tank was practically falling out, and without even much force really applied or used, the tank was out. As I said, you saw the tank was already on its way out, so that was the tank out of the way. And as you can see, there was something in the way, and that was just the exhaust and the handbrake cable. But once I moved the handbrake cable, it was free, and that was the old spec tank out.
Alright, so here's the injection tank. It's got a thing here. Gravity fed. This here is for the fuel pump. Goes straight to the fuel pump, and then this one carburetor you don't have, right? And then it's also got a return to the tank from the injection system. It's got a return to the tank.
Carb don't have anything.
Don't have. And then I don't know if you can see inside, but inside here there's nothing inside there, and inside here is a whole lot of contraption.
So without wasting any time, the injection tank was now going in. So whatever you did taking the carb tank out, you need to do this exact same process but just put it in. So you need to line it up. However, you do need to remember you need to connect all the pipes for the injection tank. So the injection tank, when it comes to the piping, now when it comes to the floats in the new spec tank, you can see we still have the 8mm pipe here. However, we changed and put the 6mm pipe back on this side. That is due to the fact of we put a blank off. I'm not sure if you can see there, but that right there is a bolt. So we used a bolt that fit very snugly into the 6mm pipe, and we put a clamp to just tighten it and make sure that, okay, look, this is gonna work as a blank off, because we don't actually need that pipe running down. And we blank this pipe off, so it's only one way, and that is because if we come to the bottom, we can see that this pipe, this bottom outlet, runs from here into an angle bend into the pump. Now we do have a new pump, but for the time being we are running with an older used pump just to pick up whatever dirt or anything is still left in the tank and it doesn't mess up the new pump. So we rather have this pump run, have this, or have possibly something go wrong. Fingers crossed nothing goes wrong, but have the fuel fed into this pump. And then from here you can see the outlet, it comes up and it goes around, and that goes into fuel line. Now the other fuel line, as you can see, comes, it runs here and it joins onto another pipe here, and this pipe then goes into the return of the new tank. So once we had it up in position, it was time to put the fuel tank straps back into place. So I'm actually going to show you where the position is, but I'm just going to let my father put the first one on for the time being. So as you can see, I'm just holding it up in place while my father gets his strap lined up.
Okay, come this way. Doesn't feel like it. Right now, it's too much. Wow, fast. Molly. Where's the snuff now? So guys.
So what you're looking at right now is the metal hook where your tank strap needs to go on. Now this is at the back of the tank. Now you don't really have much visibility of this if you're laying like with your face facing the front of the tank. So my advice to you is try and angle yourself so that you can see this and then move towards the front. So as long as you got it hooked in here, then you should be good to go and have it hook up in the front.
Do you? Yeah, right. Yeah. Put it there, and then you must go in there. Put it in there onto the start.
So with straps both in, it was time to grab our ratchet with the 13 socket once again and tighten the 13 nuts. So now with the tank being strapped into place, we needed to jack the back axle up, and to do so we just put a brick down and then the scissors jack on top of it. And as you can see, with just a little bit of adjustment done to the jack, you can see how the back axle lifts up with absolute ease. So we jacked it up a bit, just enough to get the brake lines aligned. So once they were, we connected them up again and we did it for both sides. Then we jacked the axle up a bit more and we began to actually start putting the bolts in to just tighten the axle down. Now as I said, these are the two bolts on each side, and once you tighten them, the axle will be in place and you can then remove your jack out of the way. So with the new spec tank now in position, it was time to just sort out the pipes to now put the fuel pump in place. And after a bit of trial and error and a bit of, how do I say, a lot of time actually just sorting out the fuel pump, well, that was not because it was a difficult thing. It was more of us just trying to find clamps and look for clamps. So that took a bit of time, but eventually we came right. And as you can see, we still need to connect the wire in. We just did a quick makeshift thing to get the car to start. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, we can actually attempt to start the car. And honestly, it's such a monumental moment. All this time spent building, trial and error, doing this, doing that, changing this, to get a car, to get a project car to start for the first time, is absolutely massive, and I just want to take the moment to say thank you to everyone who has been a part of the journey from the time we pulled the engine out to where we are now. And with all that's being said, enjoy the first start of the 1.9 Fox. Oh, and by the way, the car has no exhaust. I killed him.
Jump on high rev.
Yeah.
Okay, try it again. Don't rev.
I'm not rev.
Don't touch it.